How many of you have cordless clippers and it sounds a little bit like this? Kind of sounds like you have a battery problem, right? Does anybody know why these clippers? Okay, here we have the senior cordless clipper. It's one of my favorite clippers right now. And I have the designer clipper in the other hand. Well, basically, I'm going to use the old one, the designer clipper part, to fix my cordless clipper. That little metal piece right there is what I'm trying to replace because it was actually loose or something was wrong with it. Had a bunch of hairs, cleaned it, made sure everything was clean from the inside before I began to actually work on it. So that little metal piece, it was really, I guess it was kind of like not tight. So I had to, so I pressed it a little bit and it broke off. So what I have to do now is that little brown piece that's on the designer, I'm going to take that one off and replace it. It was an idea that I had. I was like, you know what? It's the same company, the same maker. So, you know, made by Wahl. So why not? You know, let's try to see if it can work. So I'm going to attempt to take that part off and replace it and put it on the cordless seniors. Hopefully it'll work. And I think it should. You know, it'll save me some money trying to pay someone else. I'd rather fix it myself. So here goes nothing. I'm going to take the screws off from the part that I'm trying to take out. Just have to unscrew that. It's kind of tough. I'm actually recording with one hand and trying to take the screw off with the other. Here we go. Taking it off. By the way, has anybody had an issue like this before where their clipper wasn't really, the cordless clipper wasn't really fully given its full potential as far as with the battery? It felt like if it was a battery issue, but when I started taking it apart and I started messing with it, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's that little piece right there. But there's 2 screws on this thing, so I have to take both of them off. Got to take this part off too so I can fully take the entire piece out. This was actually very easy. I just kind of like thought about it. I was like, hey, you know what? Let me just go ahead and try this out. Because the cordlesses, man, they're my babies. I use those every single day, every single time I cut hair. And, you know, I was just kind of a little disappointed that it wasn't really working. It just happened out of nowhere. I guess, you know, I had it for like maybe a year or whenever they had came out. And maybe, you know, wear and tear happens. But all right. So I'm getting this thing out. Excuse the camera angles. I'm using one hand. Here we go. Got it out. Boom. Just came out just like that. Super easy. You see this one's a little bit more tapered in. It looks a little closer. The other one that was on the original clipper, it was actually kind of opened, if that makes any sense. It was not as narrow as, you see? You see how that one is a little tapered in from the sides? It's like kind of going into like a tweezer angle. Versus these here, they weren't. They were kind of like just going straight. And it snapped off. So let's go ahead and try to put this one in there. I'm going to put it at a different angle at the moment, just so that I can adjust real quick. But I'll put it in the camera in 1 second. Here we go. I'm going to show you. This is the part that I'm using. And then, boom, there you go. It snapped. It actually snapped right in there. And it fits very snug. So it doesn't feel loose or nothing. Like it's not going to go anywhere at all. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to install it. Just put it right back in there how it was. Move that to the side. Match the holes with the screw. Give me 1 second. Let me show you. See, boom, it comes right off. That little bearing is very important. Don't lose that either. So here we go. So I separated, I took it out of the ball bearing because there you go. That's when you turn it on, it's off. And when the ball bearing is in that other hole, that means it's on. So now I'm going to get the little screws. Make sure you put the screw right back in through that wire so it can make contact. Because if you just put the screw in there, you're just going to be, you know, I don't know whose hair you're going to be cutting, but you ain't going to be cutting no one's hair. At first, I thought it was a battery problem, but it wasn't at all. I haven't seen anyone make a video like this. I don't know if anyone's been having problems with their clipper not giving enough power or force, but sometimes it's not the battery, which we think it is sometimes. Right here, I'm just making sure everything is put back in together before I install everything, you know, back in its place, and making sure everything is where it needs to be before I start screwing up. You know, putting the screws in the holes or whatever. So here I'm gonna put the screw back up in the other contactor. Honestly, I don't even know what these things are called, these little wires, but I mean, I fixed it, so it's all good. All right. These things are so tedious, man. All right, found the hole. Screw that back up in there. Make sure it's tight. Oh yeah, trying to find the hole. There we go, found it. And there it goes. I'm turning it on and off, and it sounds very, very good. Yeah, it sounds a little rattly just because, you know, everything's not back in together. So it's making a little bit of noise, but it sounds good. That boy crazy. Look at him. He's just watching me. So the clipper is working very, very well. I'm excited. I saved a bunch of money. I'm sure I saved over $40 just by doing it myself. So basically now I'm just putting the clipper back together, making sure it's assembled correctly, snapped back on, because it was very tough trying to take it off at first. I thought I was gonna break the lid, the housing, but I figured it out. Just had to put a little bit of elbow grease in there, but it came right off. It was not too bad. I was a little scared I might break it because, you know, nobody wants to break their clippers. So right now I'm just putting everything back together, putting all the screws back in there, just making sure it's not going to rattle, because it was doing that before I had that everything assembled. So and I'm sure it was just, you know, the little wires or whatever, it just makes extra noises. But big shout outs to Wahl for this beautiful clipper. Love it so much. I love all right, so now I'm going to turn the clipper on, see how it sounds. And if you guys find this video useful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you. Fixed it.